Hello everyone. Phoenix61 here with your World of Warships Legends shenanigans for the day. Today we are in the Conqueror, and this is going to be a little bit more of a how to play and like strategy video versus more of just like, hey, we did awesome, big damage, look at my score, right? So Conqueror and a lot of the British battleships, I typically, depending on which one it is, but most of them I typically lean into the HE shells. They typically have a little bit more, HE shell penetration or what have you, right? Or better fire setting chances, like that kind of thing, right? So when I do the build, right, which I'll go into at the end of the video like I normally do, right, you're gonna see we typically have like commander options and stuff that focus on the HE shells when those are available, and or I also kind of like to go with like range and accuracy as well. So you'll see that in the build also. But with these, right, you've got good range, you've got good HE shells. Sometimes off the start here, it's beneficial to have AP loaded, especially when we do have like a lot of cruisers like we do in this game, right? So if you catch somebody off guard broadside as they get spotted, right, you could load them full of AP and potentially get a big hit, right? So the AP shells still slap. You still want to switch to them when it makes sense, when you've got the good broadside shots in general, right? But most of the time I'm using HE shells with the Conqueror. So we're going to see this Yamato out here, and of course firing our guns is going to be a guaranteed spot for us, at least based on where we are. And so we know that he's going to shoot at us, so I am turning out hard to the right, turning away, and I also put it in full reverse, and you can see all the shells from everybody, because right, I was, I'm probably the first person getting spotted on our side too. So we just started dodging everything before they even showed up, right? So then now that everybody's fired, right, there's a lot more ships showing up on the map. We'll take a shot at the Minotaur. That would be a good one to have AP loaded for, but like I said, we're just gonna, most of these guys now, right, if they're, somewhat decent players, right, they're gonna turn in, they're not gonna leave themselves broadside to us out here, so we'll keep the HE loaded for the time being, and we've got at least one or two fires going on somebody. Can see our damage numbers just kind of slowly ticking up here. So most of the time with my strategy with this, right, as we have ships pushing up into us, right, they've got a lot of ships on their team on this flank, so I'm kind of going to assume that they're going to push into the zone, especially they've got a Schlieffen there that's pushed up into the cap, right, plus the Minotaur that's lobbing all of these AP shells at us from our right side of our screen here, right? So they've pushed up, right? So I've taken a defensive stance, sort of kiting away, position or strategy here until we can kind of get things under control, right? So the other thing too with these British battleships is you get these nice British heals, and so patience is key. I still struggle with it myself, but waiting, you can see how much your heal would go for, right? And so we were down below half when we finally tricked that first heal, and so that's going to help us in the long run as well. So right, like when you can wait, it makes sense, right, to try and wait on those British heals, because they're going to be able to bring more back to you, and you're going to get fewer heals, to start with. I think we've only got 2 heals with this build, so we've got to use them wisely. So we are down a ship. We lost one of our cruisers over here that was up a little too close to the D cap, since, they've literally have 6 ships over here on this flank, right? So we have to be on the defensive when possible, right? So we lost our cruiser that was closest to the cap, and then these other 2 had smoke, right? They're smoke cruisers. Could see them sitting in their smoke still, and so that cruiser that died, right, that got sunk, right, he probably was getting picked on by all 6 ships. Especially since we had gone unspotted too there towards the end, right? So just kind of based on just kind of describing what happened, right? We do get a Citadel hit on that Minotaur with our HE shells, right? And then the double fire there, and it looks like he might have to let that one burn. And then our defense finished him off, so good for him. And then we've got Drake coming in. Drake is one of those ships I really want to love it, but I really kind of don't, right? I have a couple of Drake videos out there, and then I played it once or twice on live stream recently, and it's just been It's been a challenging ship line to play. Get the fire on him. So yeah, a lot of times what I like to do, and you know, whether or not this is the correct strategy to have, right? And typically you want to, if your teammates are with you and you can all pick on the same ship, right, and get those guns off the board early, right, then that's typically a good strategy to take. But a lot of times when I'm in a fire spammy type ship, such as the Conqueror, at least the way I like to play it, right, is I'll shoot at kind of, I'll shoot a little here, shoot a little there, right, try and trigger multiple fires on multiple ships. That way I can get my damage burn numbers up, right? Just to try and like be as useful as I can, right? Because a lot of times if you're gonna get, you know, smart players, especially smart battleship players, they won't damage con a single fire, right? So if they get a single fire, you could let it, you know, you could leave them and let it burn, and then if you notice they don't have a fire, then focus back on them again, right? And then sometimes people are using the legendary perk Fight Fire with Fire, which means once you trigger a third fire on them, if their damage control is on cooldown, right, then it just automatically puts out all 3 fires, right? So, you know, the best way to do it would try and be to trigger double fires on people. And then, you know, when you notice they don't have a fire, you know, focus on that person again and trigger another fire, right? So Yamato's burning, so I'm going to shoot at the Drake. And then, yeah, you could see we're up to 116,000 damage, right, and counting, just because of the fires that we got going. So we'll take our shot at the Drake here. And then we did catch up a little bit on ships, right? And I think I owe it a little bit to these 2 cruisers that were on our flank here that played conservatively, right? Played smart moves. They knew that we were outnumbered on this side, so they were kind of trying to go on the defensive. Our defense there it looks like he's going to drop his smoke screen, but right, that only does so much. The smoke firing penalty in the defense is just absolutely atrocious, right? So if he wants to go undetected, he'd have to sit there and not fire his guns for, you know, the 20-second penalty duration, right? So, but he is keeping this Alaska spotted, so we took our shot at the Alaska. Yamato is going to go down from a fire that unfortunately was not ours, but we still got a fisted medal there, a fisted banner, right? So we are on 2 assists with 140,000 damage. We'll take the shot at the Alaska. It looked like he was going to hold still for us, but then he started moving here right as we shot. We still landed a bullet. And so, yeah, just our sort of conservativeness here, and then our allies cleaned up. You know, we have got 1 sole survivor over on the A flank. And then the rest of our ships on our team are now moving in to help us with our flank, right? So we've done a video like this somewhat recently as well, right? It just worked here in the Conqueror also. But yeah, we did it with similar strategy with the cruiser in a recent video, right? Where we knew we were outgunned and outnumbered on this flank. So go on the defensive, and you can still put up a pretty decent score here, right? We've got good damage numbers. We've got 15 fires, 143,000 damage, and counting. Alaska is a good one to set on fire. We will take our shots at him, get 6 hits there with a fire. Drake is almost dead, and we might be able to kind of cheese the kill on him. Looks like he might be burning as well. Right, so we're just basically the whole time here, we're kind of moving, you know, away as the enemy pushes up, and then just keeping our ship angled, right, making sure we're not broadside. So we'll take the shot at the Drake, see if we can't cheese the kill here and get 1 kill for ourselves at least. And we can, just barely. And then we can YOLO push up at the Alaska, right? We've got him outnumbered, right? So I'm just going to not even care if he takes us out, right? But being broadside to an Alaska in this ship, right, they could load you full of AP shells and do some pretty hefty damage to you, so you got to be careful there, right? Doesn't do too bad there. We were angled a little bit, right? But we'll take these shots. Triggered more fire, did a good chunk of damage there. So that puts us up to 170,000, and he's still burning. And then he's close enough. We triggered the secondary battery booster. We don't really have much, you know, in the way of secondaries on this ship, but we triggered the booster since we got it there, and that gives us another assist medal. See where we ended up on the leaderboard, and then I'll go through the commander guide and build and stuff for you, right? This Ella Rosie, I think, is just a commander Geist, right? But 174,000 damage total there. It's decent for a legendary tier. think I needed a legendary tier battleship win for the for like a bureau project, right? But we do make the top of the leaderboard with 2600 XP, and then came out on top on silver, 94,000 credits there. Made some progress through the campaign, right? And so this is how I have the mods picked out, right? I'm using aiming system, I'm using propulsion mod, typically concealment, right? You have to remember concealment and then reload time here, right? The concealment mod also gives you better, incoming dispersion too, so you have to keep that in mind. And then, yeah, this is the free-to-play Commander Andrew Cunningham, right? So he's a good choice there. So yeah, this is just a Geist. I do have Colorado on there for reload and accuracy, and then I have, this guy for more HE shell damage, right? But if you don't, there's quite a few choices you could put there, right? Anything with like accuracy or HE shells, I would put there. You could go reload too, right? But yeah, Flammable Cannoneer, and then Marksmanship here, right? We're just basically going, range and accuracy. You could pick the on second thought here to give yourself a little bit better reload time, but, you do you. I probably wouldn't pick, I'd probably pick reaching out for sure on that last row. And then I was using will to rebuild, but like I said, you could fight fire with fire is always a good choice there as well. That way, if you get those, if you're getting fire spam, that's a little bit better way to go, right? But that's going to be our Conqueror video for the day. Thanks, guys, for watching all the way through here. I do Legends videos just about every single day, right? So make sure you are subscribed and following the channel. I really do appreciate you guys. And then, yeah, 'cause I'm still kind of a small channel, right? So I do kind of notice when one more person joins, right? So it's kind of nice to see you here. But yeah, and then we do occasionally go on live stream. I don't have like a set schedule for that. Usually in the evenings. I'm Central Time US, right? So it's usually evenings, and kind of randomly, right? So if you're interested in that, we do kind of just play the game casually a little bit more, right? A little bit more relaxed, and just kind of have fun and take suggestions on what ships to play. So if you're interested in that, since I don't have a set schedule, I would recommend pushing the bell, right? Getting notifications for my channel that way. If we do go lives, you'll see it pop up, and then you can come and hang out. But thanks again, guys. We'll see you next time.